a lot of men struggle in their marriages simply because they don't really have a voice. Like they've pretty much been silenced by their wives without, I don't even know if the wives
without being
fully
told to
realize
actually shut
it.
up.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Sips of Success podcast. What's going on, babe?
Nothing much.
I'm
Feeling
Cameron.
better.
This is my wife, Erin.
What's up? What are we sipping on?
We are sipping on a.
This looks so good.
We like really
another
fresh
green drink.
Yes.
We had a green drink last week with cucumbers.
No.
Yes, we did.
We did?
Yeah. No. It was a margarita. It was still green though.
Kind of, sort of. Yeah.
Mine had lime.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Very
refreshing. What's in it?
It is cucumber juice, lemon juice, simple syrup, mint, and this is all fresh juice, by the way. And then a splash of vodka.
The good stuff.
Cucumber mint cocktail.
Lovely. Okay, so we're not going to do a this or that today. I have something else in store. All right. I feel like we can play the top 3 game.
Top 3 game.
In light of me having the top 3. Okay, so what are your top 3 favorite cars?
My top 3 favorite cars?
Yes. Cameron is a car guy, like through and through. He loves cars. So 3, only 3.
Only 3. Top 3 favorite? I'm gonna go with my top 2 dream cars that I have to have. So there's a Corvette, and then we got the Porsche 911. Number 3, I'm gonna have to go with those are my dream cars because from childhood. So 3, I'm always switching up. Today I'm feeling like Aston Martin.
Aston Martin what?
I would take almost any.
Anything they have.
Yeah, I mean just about anything.
You would want all sports cars?
Well, you said my top 3 cars. You ain't say my lineup, my garage lineup. You.
Okay, so those are just your top 3 cars in general.
Those are my 2 dream cars. My first 2 are like I will have those soon.
Okay. And
then Aston Martin is like a stretch goal. That's my like. I like sophisticated type of things, and that's like my sophisticated goal, sophisticated dream car goal.
Okay, that's fair.
It's like no one has those. You don't see those often, and that's like me, I like to be kind of different and set apart in some type of way, so that's my stretch goal car.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, we should have did it where I guess your top 3 cars, and you guess my top 3 cars.
Okay, how about you? How about this? How about you guess...
Because I'm not much of a car person, so
but
I like cars, but I like them also more now because Cameron loves them so much. So, do you want me to guess like your
my okay? So the goal is to have in the next house probably like a 3 maybe 4 car garage. Okay. Right now we only have a 2.5. So I can't fit all those cars in there. But what's my top 3? What's my daily? What's my toy? And what's my winter toy? Since we live in Michigan.
Lord. Okay, your daily, is this like right now?
We can go from just talk right now.
Okay.
Well, it can't really be right now because we don't have 4 cars.
Okay, but like if we were to buy 4 cars right now or 3 cars right now,
yeah,
what your cars would be? Okay,
yeah.
So your daily car would be. Dang, this is hard. Cameron likes so many cars. Your daily car would be. Shoot, I'm gonna go with. Oh my God, this is so hard. Because like you said winter toy, so I'm thinking the Bronco will be the winter toy instead of the daily, which kind of throws me off because you want that as a daily car because we don't have as much space. So I'm going to put the Bronco as the winter toy.
Okay.
I'm going to put a Corvette as the regular toy, like the sport car toy.
Okay.
And then the daily, this is hard. I would either put the Cayenne Coupe or like a Audi S7 maybe.
We can go with that.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
what did you have in mind? Was I right?
That's close. So realistically, we would get the Bronco first. We would get a Corvette first, and then the next daily car. It's like, well, since I have the Bronco, I probably would never have two trucks. Well, I don't have the Bronco yet. I would probably be getting one. I think I'm going to sell the Audi.
Oh Lord.
But I don't know. I've been on a truck vibe lately, and
so what would the other daily be? I mean, the winter toy be?
Bronco is very nostalgic. The winter toy, I feel like you were right with Bronco because
because what else would you drive in the winter?
I know, and
besides
I want to doctor that all up, tune it up, put some.
See, he
put
don't
some
even
stuff
know.
in it.
Y'all.
I do, but
he don't even know.
My overall daily, I'm thinking like we talking about like date night in the winter. We talking about just going out, just comfortable. I probably would say S7.
See,
yeah, I probably was.
I know my man.
Yeah, I would probably say S7.
Okay, cool. Okay, so today, what are we talking about? Or do you
Um,
want me to intro it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so Cameron, he talks to a lot of guys and like does these men's groups sometimes and just, is tapped in with a lot of husbands. And I think a lot of times he comes home from those conversations and is calling me like, whew, I'm so glad that like I'm married to you, babe, because some of these men be going through it. And so I think it's a good I think it's good to talk about the whole happy wife, happy life philosophy because a lot of men struggle in their marriages simply because they don't really have a voice. Like they've pretty much been silenced by their wives without, I don't even know if the wives
Without being
fully
told to
realize
shut up.
it. Yeah. So let's talk about that. Like, how do you feel about the phrase happy wife, happy life?
I don't like it.
Okay.
I will say this though. I feel like coming up, it's kind of like that's all you heard.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I didn't hear even the what's it, happy spouse, happy house.
Yeah.
I feel like I didn't even hear that until like
that's more recent.
Yeah,
it
like
is.
I feel like that's because like everybody's kind of woke now or whatever with the
Right.
whole marriage thing. So even coming up, I thought that's just what it was. Like the idea of marriage is you get married, you better hold everything down and everything just fall on you. You can't show no. You basically can't show nothing. No emotion. You can't be mad at your wife. Even if you are, you're wrong. Even if she wrong, you're wrong. Even if she right, you're wrong. All the above. So that was the idea that I would have. I think that's what would held me back from getting married from that idea. So if I had not, I guess, created an own idea of what marriage meant to me, then I probably would never have gotten married.
Okay. So what do you hear the most? Like what is the thing that most men struggle with within their marriage?
I think these kind of derive or play off of each other. I'm gonna start with once you have kids, it's over, and because you have kids, now you don't have sex.
Okay.
Basically. So it's kind of like one and the same, but two separate things at the same time.
What do you mean once you have kids, it's over?
As in the woman is now, your woman is now have her complete focus is them kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's where F them kids came from.
Which then stems into your sex life just going away pretty much.
Essentially.
Okay.
It's kind of like it's kind of like, you're a lot of women, I'm not gonna say every woman, but some women are, raised in a way of like, you're gonna get married, you have kids. Once you have kids, the kids are now your life. So it went from your husband kind of being your life to now your kids only being your life without you kind of realizing it. I feel like that's the message that has been received over the years.
I think the issue is that obviously kids take up a lot of time and energy in both the mom and the dad's lives, especially if both are active. What I don't think is really taught or like shared enough is what that transition from being just the two
Married,
of us
yeah.
to
However
having
many of us.
kids,
Yeah.
what that transition looks like. It's always like you just jump to like, what kind of mom do you want to be? Or like, what activities are we going to do as a family? And
Right.
all of these things. And you hear people saying like, keep dating your spouse, go on date nights, blah, blah, blah. But I also don't think that date nights are like the end all be all of having a successful marriage.
New too. To me, I kind of feel like a lot of that stuff is like new.
It is new, but I'm just saying like that transition is not necessarily emphasized as much. Like when you become new parents, there are a lot of resources for new moms in the motherhood space, but not necessarily in the wife space. Like how do you transition as not just a mom, but as a wife as well? Because that marriage will look different like once you start having kids. And I don't think that it's fair to expect it to look the same. But I also don't think that it's fair when husbands just get completely neglected. Now, do you think that there is something that these husbands are or are not doing that is causing the wives to not have as much focus on them? Like, how can the husbands be more accountable as well?
I was gonna say like it's always two. It's two. It's always two.
Yeah, because
two parts
it doesn't all fall on the woman either.
It's always two parts to any story. So, I will say men. A lot of the men that I've heard, especially when I first started coming to you with all this different stuff, like 10 years ago, I was hearing a lot of the guys where they would say these things, but they have no accountability. It's kind of like you just assume like, things are supposed to keep going this way. I'm like, did you ever communicate what's going on, how you saw it when you did have kids, or whatever, or was it just to go, we're gonna have kids, and I guess I don't know what after that, right? So I feel like that is true where guys haven't been accountable, but I guess to answer the question, maybe it goes just back to communication. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I feel like most of us, I would like use me for example, right? Or use us for example. Yeah. When we were dating, you kind of would like basically say all the stuff thinking you were right, essentially. But instead of me checking you immediately, it was like years before I finally did, essentially. But really, I never had an example or seen an example of someone properly communicating to their woman or to a woman how to say, hey, no, this ain't right. We can talk like this so that we can get such and such result possibly. Right. And I think that's what we're missing. I think that's what a lot of guys are missing.
Yeah, I was going to say that. What, like the communication gaps, because a lot of times, honestly, we do feel like we're right. And that can cause men to shut down or to be like, I can't even get a word in with her, or there's no point in me even saying anything to her at this point because she's already made her mind up, or she's already expressed XYZ. And I agree in the sense that, or I agree with everything you said, because I feel like had you not, I won't say nip that in the bud, I think we together like came to a flow of how we communicate with each other. But like, had you not brought that to my attention, we could possibly be in that same route where it's like you feel like you can't get what you want, or you can't like, I don't know, just say the things that you genuinely feel. I feel like a lot of times men are forced to sugarcoat or just like not say anything at all out of fear of how their wife is going to react.
Basically, yeah.
And that's not fair. And
I don't even a lot of times too, I would speak towards some of the older guys that I would just say I've learned from. I don't even know if it's fear. I think it's just like, it is what it is at this point. I ain't going nowhere, and I guess she ain't going nowhere. So and I'm just going to deal with it.
And the conversation's not going to go anywhere.
Right.
So it's like,
not even a conversation no more.
But it's like, what do you do if you're in that deep? Do you just keep dealing with it? Or do you actually bring it to your spouse's attention? Because I don't personally feel like women have this issue as much of expressing themselves. Like, I feel like women typically express
maybe overly
themselves in a way where it's almost like you shouldn't even really have a response at this point because I know that I'm right. Like,
Exactly.
I know that this is the way that things should be.
Right.
And you see that in all different ways with house projects, with kids. Like, you know, the husband just, I don't even want you to clean the house because you don't clean it like how I clean it or
Basically.
whatever. You know, instead of just telling him how to do it, like, not telling him how to do it the right way, but like doing it together so that you both are on the same page.
But even when it comes to gender, because that's like a gender roles conversation, right? So even when it comes to gender roles, right, there's this I guess theory that men are junky, unsanitary, what's some other words, whatever, all the above when it comes to like being clean and like, you know, I guess hygienically, is that a word? Like, whatever, like
just being clean,
good hygiene or whatever. So like you get married or you get with a woman and then you can't do nothing right because she's seen your place, your apartment, your house, wherever you have lived at before, maybe your childhood home, where it's like, oh no, this is a mess. I like you, so it's enough for us to get married, but I don't want you to do anything. So from a gender roles standpoint, I think too, from a woman, I guess, telling a guy all those things, he like, well, shoot, I don't even know where I begin to lead at. Where can I lead at if you have all the answers?
Yeah,
like,
that's good.
Like to me, it's kind of like, well, why did you marry me? So if I can't do anything, what is it for you that is saying he's the one? It's
a lot of times I think it's you doing the things that I think you should be doing.
But what are those things? That's
how it works.
But what are those things though? Because I guess it kind of goes back to how we were brought up, or how I was brought up in it, is you're kind of taught like the only way you provide is from a financial standpoint. That's it. You basically don't do nothing else. But there's also this idea with women that you stay home, cook, clean, and nowadays you have to have a job, but you still cook and clean. And that kind of leads to, well, what is he doing? Not realizing just last year or just last week, you told him, I don't want you, you don't do it right. I don't want you. Right. So he like, well, I would do something, but you don't want me to do it, or you don't like how I do it. And it's never a real conversation to, well, how can we do this properly so that you can have rest, I can have rest, and then when we come together, we have a great time. Yeah. And that's how our life goes. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think when people get married, they're thinking of it in a way, how can we best operate based on our strengths as individuals so that together this marriage is like one big piece of muscle, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Do you think that how do you feel about like coming to me about certain things? Like
what?
Like, I mean, just, I guess in the context of what we're talking about, like if even like going out with like friends or doing things on your own, or I don't know, like just those things that you hear people talking about. Like, do you feel like I am like that toward you?
Nah, I feel like I don't really gotta ask. I tell you, like, hey, I'm about to go do 1, 2, and 3. You're like, okay.
Maybe not where you're going, but like.
No, I'm saying like I'm about, like whatever it is I'm about to do. Like I say, hey, I'm about to head out. Essentially.
Yeah.
Like, whether I'm hanging out with somebody or I'm going out to eat with somebody or to the bar. I don't know. Like,
I guess I'm saying, like, do you feel like we've completely broken the patterns of me thinking I'm right? Like, that's more of what I'm asking.
Oh no, we nipped that in the bud before we got married. I wasn't getting married with you still thinking you were just right all the time. You knew that though.
And how do you think if there's somebody who is watching who isn't married yet and they are already feeling like their significant other, and I mean it could go either way. Maybe you feel like your man is you know, always feels like he's always right.
Yeah.
Like, what does that conversation look like?
I think because one, there's no rule book to life, and there's no rule book to marriage. There's no rule book to anything that we pretty much do, unless you're going to go back to school. I guess that's what you got academic books for. But like, I'm not saying there's a completely right way, and I'm not saying there's a completely wrong way. I kind of think that you need to accept what is for you and how you operate up until the point you get married. Like, that's probably the same things, probably times 10 what you're going to continue to do. Like, the older you get, I feel like it can either be the worse it gets or the better it gets that you, whatever your habits are, however your mindset is. Like, you kind of settle into how you are as a person. So I think
Mm-hmm.
catching those things early and having those conversations to kind of maybe, tweak what you already got going on. Cause nothing, I'm not going to say you're just going to completely change something, but you can definitely make it better. I think focusing on like how you can make something better is how you can get into a marriage and that be great as it can be.
Yeah. And also we do a lot of stuff together, or like we'll talk to, like we're both pretty observant people, and
Yeah.
we might, I don't know. I don't want anyone who like goes out on a date to think we're like, "Oh, so how would you da-da-da?" But like if we see something and we bring it to each other's attention while we're out like amongst another couple or something, and we get in the car and we're like, how would you have handled that? Or like, what did you think about that? Or
No, that's
we'll do that. And I think it also gives us a great opportunity to
Yeah.
like see where each other's minds are at with certain scenarios, and like just, I don't know, have a better idea of how maybe we would have done
handled
it
the
if it was
situation.
us. Yeah. And I think that really helps us, I don't
Avoid.
know. Avoid certain things. Yeah.
And that's something that I'm talking to the man now. I feel like as a leader in your household or to your future household, I think you really need to pay attention to not what's like the cute things, such as like, oh, I know she want to get engaged. I know she wants to have this nice wedding. Forget all of that. Like what?
Well, don't forget it. But
Well, set it aside.
Put it aside.
Set it aside. Like
got
what?
y'all ladies.
What is the idea day to day look like? What does the gender role breakdown of what's completed in the house? What does that look like? I feel like people avoid or miss out on those conversations. You get into like these marriages and then you're like, well, I thought you were gonna wash the clothes, or I thought you were gonna wash the dishes. Well, who said all that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like for me and Aaron, I like washing my clothes. Like I've been washing my clothes for a very long time. Like I do it a certain way. So I wash all of our clothes. She didn't care in the first place, so she like bet. Yeah, I don't. She how many loads of clothes have you washed? Not that many.
I watched quite a few when you were down bad.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, but that's
I didn't have a choice, but
yeah. We didn't even get into that though. But we can talk about that because that was, I feel like, when you talk about happy wife, happy life, it's kind of like, are you against one another or are you tackling life together?
Yeah.
And so I think people confuse, because to us, marriage is not hard. That's really the synopsis of this conversation. Is to us, marriage is not hard, and it's not to say life isn't hard. We just decide that as a couple that we're going to tackle life. So life can be hard. Things can come, such as my hand. I had no access to my hand for months. Mm-hmm. And she did have to do a lot of those things, but it wasn't a her against me type of thing. It was kind of like, well, hey, we're in this together. This is where I'm going to pick the slack up. And I was really trying to like still do stuff, and it was just kind of impossible.
Yeah.
But the point of it was, some people can get in. I've heard situations to where you will be down and out, or a guy can be just down bad. And he's down even more bad because his wife doesn't really support him in the way that she should or could. It's kind of like, oh, well, I'm going to just keep beating you down, basically. And I feel like that's not fair. And a lot of times guys do deal with a lot more. Guys do take on, I think naturally. I think you may not say as much, even like everything doesn't need to be said. Like I'm probably not going to say everything. I mean, during that time I was like, man, this young suck. Like I'm like, I feel like I may have been depressed had you not, I guess, may have not like made it easier. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like you didn't make it worse, you made it better. And I think that's the general conclusion to like why marriage isn't hard for us.
Yeah.
When it says happy wife, happy life type of thing is, it's not you just being happy. I think because you were happy, you were able to make me happy in that time of struggle.
Yeah. But I also think for women, like for the guy, if you feel incapable of saying certain things to your wife or just your woman, maybe you aren't married yet. Yeah. I think it's important to do that, to just see how she will react. Yeah. Or he will react. And to me, that says so much about the person because when we first started dating and he would come to me with any type of feedback,
What kind of
like
feedback?
just, I don't know, maybe I said something the wrong way
okay.
and then I would go on defense instead of just like owning it and being like,
Right.
I apologize, like how do you want to be talked to, or how can I have said that better so that you don't feel this way? And obviously, like, we were teenagers, but at the same time, people still communicate like that in
Yeah.
their,
And they
as
60.
adults. Yeah. But it's like, I think it's important to do that because if you don't know how your person is going to react,
Yeah.
then, and as the woman, it's very important for us to, in both ways, honestly, but we're speaking in this type of context, but like, as the woman, it's very important when a guy does express himself or he does share something that probably is very difficult for him to share. Like, it's important to take that feedback with grace and just kind of not be so compulsive or so reactive,
Yeah.
because then that's just going to make him not want to say more.
He's gonna
and
retreat.
it builds up to them just like completely stepping back and kind of having one of those marriages where people look like, are y'all really happy, or are y'all really like as locked in as y'all?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It makes you think about, like, I don't know. It makes you have a stronger foundation when you actually can have adult like dialogue without either person becoming extremely reactive.
Really, no matter how bad it is, too.
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel like bad is relative. I think a lot of topics or situations it's only bad because we're scared to say it to you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, dang, this might be, we're making it worse than what it is, essentially.
Yeah.
When really, if that's a part of what you already do, then it's like, hey, babe, I cussed somebody out today. I really shouldn't have did that. And this sounds like, I guess it's not really repercussions, but I felt bad about it. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Coming to you with something, I can't think of a real example, but maybe I came to you something like, man, I was out of character. And I've been out of character a few times,
Yeah.
So, and not in a way of cussing somebody out, but like I've been out of character before where I'm like, dang, and
Cameron's kind of fiery.
and it's and this made you like, babe, don't.
Yeah.
Don't.
It made me uncomfortable.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
But even so, she ain't really got to say nothing. I'm already knowing, like, dang, I shouldn't have did that. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes you can't control your reaction sometimes. And I will say she's very good I'm either at 0 or at 100. So she's very good at calming me down if I get to 1,000.
Just like, babe, it's fine.
Because it's like I black out or something.
But yeah, I just think on both ends, I don't agree with happy wife, happy life if there's not anything mutual that goes for the husbands. Like, I don't think that should be the standard of a happy marriage, because the wife is not the only person in the marriage, and it just basically sounds like you're pacifying the wife instead of being completely honest and open in your marriage. And I just never wanted a marriage where I felt like Cameron couldn't come to me completely transparently if he was like, no, I don't like this, or babe, we need to hit the gym, or like, I want you to be able to tell me, like,
because I feel like
if I'm getting chunky or like if I'm getting unattractive to you physically, I need to know. I don't want you to. Now, I don't want you to be insulting.
No, let's talk
but
about
I want
that
you to be honest with me.
Because I feel like we both came up in the era to where you better not say nothing to no woman about what she looking like. And I told you early on, I'm like, yo.
But these are the conversations we had early. Like, he's like, Aaron, if you
ain't it, then
if you slipping, like, I have to say something. Like, there's just, I do. And I respect that. I think it depends on how you say it and like how you come to me with like hard information. Delivery does make a difference.
It make a difference, yeah.
But I don't want you feeling like you have to dance around my emotions because of how you think I'm going to react. From an
accountability standpoint, I think because they're not accountable for how they're feeling, and maybe because they aren't allowed, which there's no excuse for this, but that's probably where infidelity comes into place. Mm-hmm. I've heard those situations too. Like, I ain't really feeling her, and I haven't been feeling her in a long time. So one thing lead to another, and now you done found yourself in a situation.
Yeah.
I've heard, like I know people who have, gone through those things, right? So just
But
losing out on something that's so great for something that's so minor is not worth it.
it's not. But it takes time to get to that point. And I don't think you can have let 1,000 things slide and then now you suddenly want to say something
Right.
as a husband on
Yeah.
the 1,001th time. And expect your wife to be okay with that because
Accepting of it.
you as the leader have established a culture in your marriage that has allowed your woman to essentially lead your marriage.
Right.
So as the man, that is why it's better to say something on the 10th time. It's better to say something on the first time.
Yeah.
But if you're like, let me just assess
the
pattern.
Yeah.
And you say something earlier on, now you can start to establish, okay, we're hitting a turning point. We can now move in the direction that both of us are comfortable going in instead of just how you think you're supposed to be,
exactly.
blah, blah, blah. So I think that's the general gist of like why I wanted to talk about this, because I do think that men get a short end of the stick when it comes to being able to be as expressive as they want to be. And I know that a lot of women wish their husbands were more expressive. So it's kind of like this double-edged sword where it's like, oh, my husband doesn't say anything, or my man, he just like, it's so, I share with him like what I want him to do better. And then I open the floor up and he never says anything.
Right.
Or but it's like, but you've never given him the comfort of expressing himself.
Yeah, because if you tell him what he need to do better and he turn around and do the same thing, you like, whoa, I really wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
But it's like, do you want it or do you not?
Yeah. Or, I mean, it's just, he's like, I mean, you just beat me down for 10 minutes straight. Like, I don't have nothing else to say.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You doing everything great.
Yeah. So it's like, there is so often this lopsidedness. And I just don't think that it's fair. And I do think that as women, we have a lot more control than we think we do, even though the man is the head of the house. Like they say the woman is like the neck. Like we still can like steer things in a way, like if you.
So just making like decisions on.
So.
Like wants. Like some women get everything that they want and a lot of men don't get nothing that they want.
Right.
Like,
and it's like we're doing our basement right now and we're already like, I don't even know if we set a budget, but like we're over budget already. I already know we are.
Yeah, we are.
And Cameron's like, can we do LED lights around the perimeter of the basement? And how about a 90-inch, babe? And I'm just like, you know what? Fine. Like this is you. In all honesty, you're gonna probably spend the most time down there. So I want you to like how it looks, and I don't want to be that wife who feels like every time my husband wants something, it's like no, and then when I want something, I'm expecting him to say yes,
which I do every time.
Which you do, and I'm like, do you feel like I do that to you? Like
I don't. So that's the other thing too. I feel like I don't really ask you. And I will say this. Now this is me being accountable. It's not that I don't even think that you would say yes or approve of something. It's just because of.
You said I would or wouldn't.
I don't think that you wouldn't approve.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
right.
I don't think that you wouldn't say yes or whatever. But I think just from a culture of being around men for so long who don't, I think I'm not even about to. Sometimes it's kind of like you almost feel like you're not worthy of getting something. You don't see, like I see the complete value and worthiness and why I say yes in everything that you ask for. And it's not even just to like, oh yeah, just do everything, blah, blah, blah. But I genuinely I'm like, yeah, she deserves this.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of guys, including myself, which is why I'm explaining why I don't really be asking for stuff or ask to like maybe make a big purchase, because I don't know. Sometimes it's like, man, do I deserve that? Like, you know what I'm saying? You fall. I've fallen in that trap of, and I think I'm doing pretty better these days or whatever with that. Like, you know, not convincing myself I don't need that or I don't really want that when you do.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? But I think it's because of I've seen so many different examples to where it's just like, I'm gonna provide this life for her and, you know, basically just deal with it. I'm not gonna really.
It's like your wants as a husband have been pushed
all the
aside
way.
because
I don't even think
You're
they push
putting your
aside. They
wants
just out.
of your wife ahead of your own
Yeah.
wants. Exactly.
Exactly. So you don't make no room for what you want. You work hard to provide her with everything that she wants and desires.
Yeah.
And you kind of forget about yourself. Now it's kind of on you still in a way, but it's really on y'all. I feel like when you get married.
That's where I think as a wife you do have to remind your husband, like, no, like you should get that, or you do deserve that, or like it is fine. Like it's
even if you don't like it in the same way, it's just like
it doesn't matter.
care about none of them purses.
Right.
Not one of them. Don't
right.
But I'm like, cool, she like it, I love it, bet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Not in the black way, not where I'm like, no,
I don't actually like it.
No, like I love that she feels happy with this thing that she has received. I love the smile that it puts on her face. Like I love how she goes throughout the rest of the month like on cloud 9 because of this one act that that was done. Forget all the other little things. It was just like this one thing was like the cherry on top. So I feel like a lot of guys maybe not receive that in the same way, and even for themselves don't even gift themselves or cherish themselves enough to believe that they deserve whatever it is that they want.
Yeah.
Well,
ladies, let your man know he deserves stuff too. Like don't be having him out here doing everything and getting you everything, and then he just out over there in the little corner, sad, can't get nothing. So yeah, I mean, I think we have a pretty good flow going. I do,
but it came from we've had
a lot of discussions
on what this will look like for us, and this is not
specific discussions. Like let's talk scenario based, not just like these general concepts. And like we talk about like some pretty intense stuff. We're like, what if I am infertile? Like, are we like, what does that look like? What if we're like, I don't know, like whatever, like just like random things
like, are you thinking about this? Because like the reality is there are people that have some of these issues. Like, all right, when I learn something new, I always go to Aaron. I'm like, yo,
what if this happens?
If this happens to us, like,
what do we do?
Like, what is the game plan?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So it's just like, I think a lot of times people are just scared of that, and they don't want to, they think that they're exempt from everything, which it may never, things like that, random things may never happen to you, but they also might. So it's just like,
it can happen to any and everybody.
Know. But anyway,
I'm very realistic.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, this was fun.
Cheers, to happy spouse, happy house.
So when are we going to get the Bronco?
We'll see.
Or the Urus.
Or the Urus. Baby, we got some work to do. Y'all better share this podcast. He's talking about a Urus. Better share this podcast. Better go watch some Aaron on Demand. Better buy a top 3 notebook. Better join the Creator College. Better
all the
y'all better get to work out there, y'all, if you want this Urus now, okay?
Help your boy out.
Anyway, this was a good one.
Yeah, good one. Love you.
Love you too.
Like, subscribe, all the good stuff.
Also, he'll put the recipe in the description.
I'm also about to do 31 days straight of the bevs. Cocktails, mocktails, fresh juice.
And I told Cameron he needs to put like cocktail videos of everything we drink on the Sips page.
Yeah, so I'm gonna drop.
You should be able to go on there and actually see the drinks.
I'm thinking about adding an extra something to the YouTube where I kind of actually go through a thorough making of each cocktail for the episode.
Oh, okay.
Not like every